Let's start with the juggernaut of recent adaptations. HBO's The Last of Us shattered the long-standing curse of video game adaptations being notoriously bad. A significant part of the success is due to the fact that the creators understood the source material and didn't butcher it. Neil Druckmann, the creator of the game, was on board as an executive producer, and it shows. The show takes the same emotional depth that made the game a masterpiece and cranks it up to, "I need a hug and a gallon of ice cream after this episode" levels. Internet daddy, actor extraordinaire Pedro Pascal, plays Joel with all the gruff, broken tenderness of his video game counterpart. His chemistry with Bella Ramsey, Ellie, is palpable, and their dynamic is as heart-wrenching as you'd expect from a story that basically opens with a child death. Yeah, no one's walking away from this one emotionally unscathed. Ramsey brought a fierce, scrappy energy to Ellie that almost makes you forget about the violent post-apocalyptic landscape, until they start stabbing zombies and survivors alike. Her ability to oscillate between moments of childlike wonder and soul-crushing sorrow is why people were glued to their screens. Faithful to the core, beautifully shot, and as emotionally devastating as the game itself. It's like they aimed to wreck us, and guess what? They succeeded. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 builds on the success of its predecessor, which, let's face it, only happened because the internet bullied the filmmakers into redesigning Sonic after his horrific first look. The sequel doubles down on what made the first movie fun: speed, nostalgia, and a hefty dose of 90s sass. This time, Sonic is joined by his loyal sidekick Tails, and we get the addition of Knuckles, voiced by Idris Elba, because why not? After the fan-led design overhaul, Sonic became one of the rare, good video game movies. In the sequel, the stakes are higher, the jokes are funnier, and the nostalgia hits harder. Seeing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles team up, or fight each other, was like a collective dream for everyone who ever played Sonic and Knuckles on their Sega Genesis. No one asked for Knuckles to sound like a British action star, but now that we have it, no one can imagine it any other way. His deadpan delivery and warrior-like seriousness make him a perfect foil to Sonic's wisecracks. The fact that Knuckles takes everything so seriously is what makes him hilarious. Sonic 2 manages to bring more heart, humor, and excitement to the franchise, leaning hard into its video game roots without losing sight of what made the first movie successful. It's a love letter to fans of the Blue Hedgehog, with enough zany action to keep newcomers entertained. Arcane came out of nowhere and immediately raised the bar for what a video game adaptation could achieve. Based on the League of Legends universe, Arcane made waves by appealing to both hardcore players and newcomers alike. You don't need to know anything about lanes, ganks, or why your jungler is screaming in all caps to enjoy this series. The storytelling, world-building, and complex character arcs stand on their own. Every frame of Arcane looks like it was painstakingly hand-painted. The unique animation style fuses 2D and 3D, making the show look like a graphic novel in motion. It's jaw-droppingly beautiful and often distracting, in the best way, because you want to pause every scene just to soak in the detail. At the heart of Arcane is the fractured sisterhood between Jinx and Vi. Their relationship is equal parts heartbreaking and explosive, anchored by the show's gritty portrayal of trauma, family, and loyalty. You know it's about to go sideways, but you can't help but hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll find peace. Arcane isn't just one of the best video game adaptations, it's one of the best animated series, period. It transcends its source material, delivering a story that's universally gripping, even for those who think League of Legends is just something their little brother screams about in his room. If someone had told you that a live-action Pokemon movie starring Ryan Reynolds as a talking Pikachu in a fedora would become a global sensation, you'd have laughed in their face and gone back to catching them all on your Game Boy. But here we are in 2019, living in a world where Detective Pikachu is not only a thing, it's actually good. It's hard to imagine anyone else pulling off the caffeinated wise-cracking Pikachu with quite the same panache as Ryan Reynolds. Sure, Pikachu is supposed to be cute and cuddly, but who knew he could also serve up sarcasm so sharp it could cut through butter? It's like Deadpool was reincarnated into an electric mouse with a caffeine addiction and a fondness for detective work. Let's be honest, Detective Pikachu could have easily fallen into the same terrifying territory as the original Sonic design. But the Pokémon look astonishingly real. Pikachu, Jigglypuff, Charizard, they're all adorable and slightly unsettling, which is exactly what you'd expect when you try to bring cartoonish monsters to life. It's weird, it's quirky, and it works. Whether you're a hardcore Pokémon fan or you just remember the theme song, Detective Pikachu is a pleasant, nostalgic ride. Video games about whipping vampires into oblivion don't exactly scream thought-provoking drama, but Castlevania proved that wrong. Not only is this show faithful to the gothic tone of the original games, but it also takes the lore and runs with it, delivering deep character studies wrapped in blood-soaked animation. Trevor is the kind of reluctant hero who'd rather be drinking ale than slaying night creatures. He's brash, sarcastic, and entirely done with the world's nonsense. But he also has a tragic backstory, because, of course, and watching him evolve from a washed-up hunter to a full-blown hero is one of the show's greatest joys. The show brilliantly humanizes Dracula, turning him from a one-note villain into a grieving, rage-filled husband whose quest for vengeance feels almost justified. His relationship with his human wife, Lisa, is surprisingly tender, and the depth of his grief adds layers to the plot. You may even find yourself rooting for him, right up until he starts burning down entire villages. Castlevania is visually stunning, emotionally compelling, and gloriously violent. It's one of those rare adaptations that stays true to its source material while adding so much more. Fans of the games will appreciate the nods to the lore, while newcomers will find themselves captivated by the dark, complex world. The 1995 Mortal Kombat movie holds a special place in the hearts of 90s kids, but let's be real, it wasn't exactly good. The 2021 reboot, however, delivered the blood-soaked, fatality-filled chaos that fans of the games had been demanding for years. From Sub-Zero freezing people solid, to Scorpion's legendary, "Get over here," the movie embraced the over-the-top brutality of the source material. Josh Lawson's portrayal of Kano is hands down the best part of the movie. He's rude, crude, and absolutely unhinged, delivering one-liners that toe the line between hilarious and inappropriate. Even in a movie full of epic fights, it's Kano's foul-mouthed antics that steal the spotlight. The movie doesn't shy away from the ultra-violence that made the Mortal Kombat games so infamous. Characters are torn apart, impaled, and eviscerated in ways that would make your mom cover your eyes if this were 1993. It's glorious. It's not winning any Oscars, but who cares? Mortal Kombat is exactly what it's supposed to be, a brutal, fun, and unapologetically violent tribute to the games. Yes, I know The Witcher is technically based on the books, but there's no denying that the show borrows heavily from the game's aesthetics, tone, and world-building. Also, Henry Cavill is an unapologetic Witcher fanboy, and his love for the games shows in his performance as Geralt of Rivia. He growls, grunts, and looks perpetually annoyed in all the best ways. Cavill's dedication to the role is the stuff of legend. Not only did he beg for the part, but he also made sure that Geralt's combat scenes were as close to the game's mechanics as possible. He's like a walking, talking tribute to The Witcher, and it's beautiful. The song, "Toss a Coin to Your Witcher," became an absolute meme sensation, which is not something anyone expected from a gritty fantasy show. But hey, who can resist a catchy medieval tune about a brooding, monster-hunting mutant? While some fans may grumble about the show's narrative structure, there's no denying that The Witcher is one of the most faithful game-to-show adaptations we've seen. Cavill's portrayal of Geralt is spot-on, and the world is immersive enough to make you want to hop on Roach and explore the continent. Alicia Vikander's rebooted Tomb Raider brought a more grounded, vulnerable version of the iconic character to life. Based on the 2013 Tomb Raider game, this Lara is scrappier, tougher, and has zero patience for your nonsense. Vikander's portrayal of Lara is the polar opposite of the gun-toting, backflipping caricature we got in the early 2000s. This Lara is a survivor, a fighter, and an adventurer who actually looks like she's been through hell. You'll root for her as she navigates treacherous terrain, solves ancient puzzles, and punches bad guys in the face. If you've ever played the Tomb Raider reboot, you know that Lara's life is one giant death-defying stunt after another. The movie faithfully recreates these moments, from death traps to crumbling ruins. Vikander literally jumps off a sinking ship at one point, and it's just as insane as it sounds. While it's not the deepest or most emotional film, Tomb Raider is a solid, action-packed adventure that pays homage to its source material. Vikander's performance makes you believe in Lara's struggle and triumphs, and the stunts will leave you breathless. Video game horror doesn't always translate well to the big screen, but Silent Hill nailed the eerie, unsettling atmosphere of its source material. The fog-drenched town, the creepy creatures, the haunting score, it all felt like a love letter to the fans of the original survival horror games. While the plot may have confused some viewers, fans of the games knew exactly what they were getting: a descent into madness and terror. Silent Hill brought to life some of the most terrifying creatures in gaming history, including the iconic Pyramid Head. The creature design is grotesque, horrifying, and unforgettable. If you weren't already terrified of foggy streets and abandoned buildings, this movie will make you never want to go outside in a mist again. While Silent Hill may not have hit all the right notes for mainstream audiences, it's a cult favorite for horror and video game fans alike. Its disturbing visuals, creepy soundtrack, and faithful recreation of the game's unsettling atmosphere make it one of the better horror video game adaptations. Pyramid Head ripping a character's skin off is one of the most disturbing death scenes ever. You'll cringe, you'll look away, and you'll probably never sleep soundly again. The Resident Evil series had become more of an action franchise than a horror one, but Welcome to Raccoon City went back to the basics: zombies, creepy mansions, and survival horror. This adaptation leaned heavily into the game's plotlines, with recognizable locations like the Raccoon City Police Department and Spencer Mansion. It was a solid attempt to recapture what made the early Resident Evil games so terrifying. From the claustrophobic settings to the shambling zombies, Welcome to Raccoon City feels like a direct adaptation of Resident Evil 1 and 2. It's filled with Easter eggs for fans of the series, including iconic scenes like the first zombie encounter and the discovery of Umbrella's nefarious experiments. It's not the most groundbreaking zombie movie out there, but it's a fun, nostalgia-fueled romp for fans of the franchise. If you've ever screamed at your TV because a zombie dog burst through a window in the original game, this movie will make you smile, and maybe scream again. When Illumination announced they were teaming up with Nintendo to make a new Super Mario Bros. Movie, the collective internet groaned, especially after the 1993 disaster. But 2023 brought something no one expected: a genuinely fun, family-friendly movie that hit all the right nostalgic notes. Sure, casting Chris Pratt as Mario raised some eyebrows. He's not exactly known for his Italian plumber accent, but overall, the movie worked its magic. The voice cast sounds more like a fever dream than a cohesive lineup, but somehow, it just works. Jack Black, in particular, steals the show with his Bowser, managing to be both menacing and hilarious. And yes, you will be humming Peaches for weeks after hearing it. Let's face it, Illumination knows how to make pretty movies, and the Super Mario Bros. Movie is no exception. The Mushroom Kingdom is a vibrant, colorful paradise, and it's brought to life with such care that every scene feels like a trip down memory lane. Whether you're dodging Koopa shells, hopping over lava pits, or racing down Rainbow Road, the movie is a visual treat. Packed to the brim with Easter eggs and references to decades of Mario games. From the iconic Super Mario Bros. Theme music to power-ups like the Superstar and Fire Flower, fans of all ages will find something to geek out over. There are moments straight out of Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, and even the original arcade Mario. It's like Nintendo wanted to say, "We see you, fans, and this one's for you." While it's not groundbreaking cinema, the Super Mario Bros. Movie does exactly what it's supposed to. It's fun, lighthearted, and filled with nods to the games that have defined generations. It's a feel-good adventure for kids and adults alike, proving that Mario can indeed shine on the big screen when given the right treatment.